Hello everybody and welcome to Weekly Shonen Jump Ori collection for the Raid Hyunckel guide. This arguably the easiest raid we've had so far. It does rely on you having certain specific units, but they aren't gacha exclusive jump units, they are just standard gacha units normally. So we're going to talk about the raid stage in just a bit. Let's talk about some small changes that have been made. You still get the 3-star copy of Hyunckel when you beat the stage for the first time, and you still have to clear missions and beat the stage over and over again to get points in order to purchase copies of Hyunckel from the store. However, they have changed the drops of the stage very slightly. They have made it so that his type scrolls, he is an all-rounder, his scrolls now drop from his stage, and you can use the points to buy universal scrolls from the store instead. The stage also used to drop dumbbells. It doesn't do that anymore. You can buy the dumbbells from the store if you need them. But other than that, the store hasn't really changed. There's 15 copies of him in the store. The missions will get you the copies that you need other than that. The 4 missions at the top, obviously you can only beat once. And then the once per day you can beat, I suppose, I think it's on for around a week. So like 6 to 7 times. So let's talk about the unit himself, Hyunckel. Physical all-rounder 1980s unit. He seems okay. Once again, obviously the Kaiba issue where he only had the top leader skill when he was Victory Awakened. That didn't happen for Vegeta, and it hasn't happened for Hyunckel either. You do not need to Victory Awaken him to get his premium leader skill. His skill set is pretty good. As far as raid units go, he is, I would say, better than Kaiba and at least on par with Vegeta. He is definitely a good unit. Orange as a type is lacking right now, but in the future when we get some really strong orange units, he's going to be a guy that's probably going to be in a lot of people's teams, especially if you're one of the people that has max overboosted him during this event, which I hope you are. His passive's quite an interesting one. He has the prevent from being stunned full stop. It's not a conditional. While it does only protect him from the stun debuff, that is still a very good thing for him to have. And in the future, there's going to be certain stages where boss is stunned, and he is going to be a must on teams for that. His stats are pretty good, but all the raid unit stats have been pretty good. So that's not really a surprise. So moving on to the stage itself. This stage is quite difficult. All raid stages are quite difficult, but I would argue this is the easiest raid stage we've had so far. You're going to want to bring green units, obviously, and the way they've set up the banner with the Mister on the banner, he is the best unit for this event. Itsuki is also very good, and obviously I think most people would say she is needed more than Mister, but Itsuki is free. She is a free jump unit, so if you're about to start, then you get her, and that's great. So get yourself a Mister if you can, and then you're good to go. Now, talking about what he actually does, basically the idea of this stage is you get 2 turns, and then starting from the 3rd turn, you have 100 seconds in game before he kills you. And I mean kills you. There is nothing you can do to stop him. He clears all positive buffs. He clears status buffs, stat buffs, everything. And then he inflicts 5 hits of 2000% damage to all enemies. So, that kind of sucks. You can't block it, you can't avoid it, you will die. His skill 1 is kind of annoying, and you'll find during the stage 1, if you get, during phase 1, sorry, if you get unlucky, that will kind of fuck you over. During phase 2, it will really fuck you over. The bleed is not so much a problem, but the fear can be, which is why some units that block fear can be good to bring along. His passives, this is where he gets really annoying. It seems like it's becoming common for raid units under 20% HP to counter all normal attacks, which means he can be a nightmare for certain units. If you have the buff that makes you attack multiple times per turn, he's going to attack you multiple times per turn. So certain units you might not want to bring just because of that. But if you have the right debuffs on him, he won't do that much damage with a counter attack, so it's kind of okay. You can see all the passives on there. I'm not going to go through every single one, just trying to hit on the important points here. And one thing I didn't notice initially, he does charge his skill gauge, so no matter where it is, once he switches to his Mudo form, he does charge his skill gauge to 70%. Not by 70%, to 70%. So it could be either one of his skills, 1 or 2, but it will be charged. You can see the team building there, like I was saying. You're going to want to bring... The main thing, I think, is stat buffers and DPS. Obviously, there are lots of different teams you can build. There's lots of different units you can bring. The units I'm listing off here, pause at any point if you need to quickly look over these. But the units I'm recommending here are the guys that I have found to be optimal. The guys that I have found to be in a lot of the proper decent teams. The teams that are comfortably beating this. I'm going to show you 2 teams in just a sec that I used. One of them is 100% consistent on manual, and it's about 90% consistent on auto. And the other team is not particularly consistent at all, but I tried to build a team without using Mr. So, you know, I had to make some concessions here and there. The units we're about to move on to right now, I think we've got one more top tier unit, and then we're going to move on to the medium tier units. Honestly, I would not recommend bringing these units. You can beat the stage with these units, and they are definitely useful, but in general, I think they take away from your main team damage. And you know, the strategy for this stage is completely different to Vegeta. It's completely different to Kaiba. You can't stall. You can't tank it out. You need to kill him in a very short amount of time. Now, for the boss stage itself, this is my first team. This is the team I've been using pretty much since the start. I did originally have Ray as the leader, but I switched it around. Honestly, I don't think Ray actually does so much in this team that you need him. You could easily swap him out. Kenshiro really is a must because he's a free OB6. He does a lot of damage, and he's a little bit tanky as well. Or at least he has the stats to back up him being in the team. Itsuki, as everyone will tell you that plays this raid, is a must. She's a great leader too. She gives you a nice bit of HP, and all these buffs she gives you are going to make this stage a lot easier. Momo is a tricky one. Her skill set does virtually nothing for you. Her skill 1 does heal Kenshiro a bit, which is nice, but beyond that, she does nothing for you. She's really just there to give the defense buff to Kenshiro and to Mr. and to give the HP buff to everybody, and then she can die. She can die, or she can take the debuffs, the fear debuff and the bleed debuff from Hyunckel in lieu of somebody else taking it. Mr. pretty much you just want him to be doing as much damage as possible whenever he can. His ult does significant damage, and with the buffs Itsuki gives him, it's going to be doing even more damage. With the setup I have right now, as you can see, my friend Mr. got the fear debuff almost instantly, but it didn't really matter. The only leader I found that this team could beat it with is Guido Mr., so not much I can do about that. The second team, now this is completely different. The idea is somewhat similar because you are still going to want to be using Mr. and Kenshiro to your benefit. Momo again is seeing a part in this team just to die and give a buff. Itsuki is still the leader, but we're using Kurapika mainly because his stats are insane. One of the highest defenses in the game, if not the highest. He also does semi-decent damage. He ults quite often. The problem is, if he gets a fear debuff on him, he's just going to sit there with it on him unless you have somebody to remove it. Ginzuki's an interesting one. His stats and his skills aren't perfect for this, but he does have a skill that makes him more effective against swordsmen. And, of course, Hyunckel is a swordsman. So, Ginzuki surprisingly actually seeing a part in this team. Again, this team is not perfect, and on auto it is definitely not consistent. But you can beat the stage on auto with this team, and on manual you will be even more effective. But as you can see, Kurapika really not doing that much damage even with the buffs on him. You're really going to be relying on Mr. and on Kenshiro, and to a lesser extent Ginzuki, to be doing the damage. But at the end of the day, my bottom line for this, bring a friend Mr. if you don't have a Mr. Just try and get one copy, because while he is a fantastic unit, the farm is quite real. For a lot of people, this might well be the first raid you can beat. This might also be, for some people, the first raid that you can 100% max. And, you know, if you can and you want to do that, absolutely do that. But I think for veteran players, unless you're fully committed to maxing him out, you're going to be wasting a lot of stamina capsules here that you're not going to be able to make up before the next raid comes around at the end of next month. So just something to consider. If he doesn't excite you too much, because Orange is currently kind of weak, maybe just get one copy, wait until the next time he comes around. That might just be my suggestion, or just farm with natural stamina instead of spamming your stamina bottles. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I'm going to link in the description everything you need to know about the event. And also, don't forget to check out our Twitter. When the next raid comes around, I'm going to be retweeting all of the teams I see that beat the event. And, you know, you can use that as maybe a kind of resource to see what other people are doing and inspire yourself. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this helped. And I will see you next time.